Hi, folks. Good morning. I'm Sarthak, and I'm back with the second session of the this series that is related to AWS and the basics of AWS. And let's take a recap of yesterday's session for you to remember. So, as you all remember that yesterday we discussed about what is the cloud computing concepts, why cloud computing came into the existence, and why it became popular. After that, we saw different cloud providers that are present in the market, AWS, Azure, GCP, and other cloud providers as well. And then we looked briefly on what is AWS and what all services do AWS provide. Then we went through the core services, what exactly are the core services provided by AWS. Then we deep dived into the EC2 concept, that is the compute power concept of the cloud providers. And we discussed about the basic concepts, and then we actually did a hands-on lab to start the first EC2 instance for you guys and how to work with the AWS console. All right, and let's start the session for today. Okay, so I'll discuss the agenda for today's session as well. After moving from EC2, we will be covering other basic services and the core services that are provided by a cloud platform. As you can see on your screens, the first service that we will be discussing is the S3, that stands for Simple Storage Service. Then we will learn about IAM, that is Identity and Access Management. Then we will learn about VPC, what is Virtual Private Cloud. Then we will learn about Amazon CloudWatch, and then we will learn about EBS, Elastic Block Services. So till fifth point, everything will be theoretical and it will be a basic concept building session for you guys. And then the last point is we will create our first blogging website live, so that you guys can have a better knowledge or better understanding of how things work in the cloud. So I am hoping that after the session finishes, so you all will be able to create your first blogging website by your own. And if you face any issues in that, so my team is available for your support. And same as yesterday, if you face any questions or you have any doubt in your mind, you can write those in the chat bot, and my team will respond you with the appropriate answer. Uh, and also same as yesterday, I'll be using Hindi and English, both the languages, to provide you the best concept, and I'll try to explain everything from basic as far as I can. And do feel free to reach us for your doubts and your questions. All right. So let's start with the first topic of the session, that is the simple storage service, or S3. I'll be referring it as S3. Right. So, as the name suggests, S3 is the storage service that is provided by the cloud platform. Storage, in the sense, yesterday we learned about volumes as well. And those volumes, if you remember, they were the hard disks that were mounted on your system. Basically, वो hard disk होती हैं आपके system की, जो आपके system के ऊपर लगी हुई होती हैं. उसके अलावा if you go to the market and you buy an external hard disk, so that is some external storage option that you are availing, right? So S3 is an external storage option for you on the cloud. So S3 को आप एक as a hard additional hard disk की तरह सोच सकते हो. And the main USP of S3 is that it stores only the object type of data. लाइक ऑब्जेक्ट टाइप ऑफ डेटा कैसे होता है कि जैसे कोई MP4 फाइल, JPG फाइल, कोई इमेज, एनी फाइल, सो दैट इज अ ऑब्जेक्ट. So S3 is the object storage option for us on AWS. And the another USP of S3 is that we can store n number of data on it. Like, it is auto scalable. When we create a S3 bucket, so by default the space of a S3 bucket is 10 GBs. But as soon as like हम उसके अंदर data increase करते जाते हैं तो वो automatically scale up हो जाता है. पेटाबाइट तक उसका डेटा जाता है. So it is auto scalable. So it is very easy to use and it is very convenient to use to store your data. And another thing is that S3 can be integrated with other services on AWS or externally as well. So आप S3 को as a storage option integrate कर सकते हो अपनी किसी भी service के साथ. Let's see the practical of S3. So again, I am on the console of AWS, as you guys can see. And here, if I come to storage options, storage, in the storage, we can find S3. All right. So this is the S3 bucket console. And here we can create multiple buckets. Basically, bucket is nothing, just a storage option for you. So if I show you that I'll create a bucket. I'll give a name to the bucket, say, sorry for the typo. Uh, I can create it in any region. This is the access policies of the bucket. Basically, ये चीज हम सेट करते हैं कि हमको bucket public बनानी है या private बनानी है. इससे मतलब है कि if a bucket is a public, then it can be accessed by anyone from anywhere. So all the data that you stored in S3 will be publicly available. And private bucket is something that is not publicly accessible. मतलब आप उसको internet से directly access नहीं कर सकते. The data is secured and it is safe within the bucket. So this setting holds that functionality. Then this is bucket versioning. So as the name suggests, bucket versioning is whenever you upload a data on S3 bucket, there is a version created of that data. Like मैंने कोई एक डेटा डाला, उसका एक वर्जन क्रिएट हुआ से 1.1.1. ओके. एंड उसके बाद फिर मैंने कुछ एक नया डेटा उसके अंदर डाला सेम ही फाइल का कुछ अपडेट करके, तो देन दी देयर विल बी अनदर वर्जन दैट विल बी क्रिएटेड फॉर द सेम ऑब्जेक्ट दैट विल बी 1.1.2. सो फर्स्ट वर्जन वाज 1.1.1 एंड द सेकंड वर्जन जो मैं अपलोड करूंगा उसके अंदर वो आएगा 1.1.2. तो ये वो चीज एनेबल करती है सेटिंग. ये टैगिंग है. टैगिंग इज बेसिकली गिविंग अ नेम और गिविंग अ यूनिक आइडेंटिफायर टू अ ऑब्जेक्ट, as we learned yesterday. This is encryption key. Once you push your data on the S3 bucket, do you want the data to be encrypted or not? Encrypted मतलब that will not be user readable. वो कोई एक normal इंसान उसको पढ़ नहीं सकता है. तो दिस इज व्हाट एनक्रिप्शन मींस. अगर कोई कुछ भी चीज एनक्रिप्टेड होगी तो आप उसको रीड नहीं कर पाओगे. दैट इज नॉन ह्यूमन रीडेबल. तो ये उस चीज की सेटिंग देता है. और इसके अंदर ज्यादा ऑप्शंस हमारे पास नहीं है to create the S3 bucket. So after doing this, we can just click on create bucket. Okay. Now, see, there is a restriction on us that the name cannot contain underscores. So let me remove the underscores. All right. So see, as you can see, a new bucket is created and I can upload any kind of data on it. See, I have clicked on upload and I'll do add file. I can browse anything on my system to add on this bucket. So it will be stored inside the my bucket and I can retrieve it any time that I want. So this is the basic functionality of S3. Let's move to another topic. I hope the S3 is pretty clear to you because it is very basic. Like it is just the storage option that is provided by AWS. And I've shown you how to create a S3 bucket and I've shown you how to set the access policies on S3 bucket. Basically, to make the bucket public or to make the bucket private. Okay. And right. So let's move to the second topic. Okay, so now we will learn about IAM. So IAM is one of the most important topic that we have in cloud computing. Whether we are learning AWS, Azure, GCP, anything. So IAM is the basic concept and the most important concept for the cloud platform. Okay, so what IAM is, it is the identity and access management. Let's understand this topic with a real life example. You must be having friends in your group, right? So there are some good friends to you, and there are some colleagues to you, or there are some okay friends to you, like the friends from whom you are like on just high hello terms. I hope you get the point. Okay, so you have given different authority to each of your friend. Like the closest friend that you have would have the most authority on you. Your colleague would have lesser authority on you, and the and a person with whom you are just on a high hello terms, so he or she will have the most least authority on you. So these things we can relate with the cloud provider also. Okay, now let's relate this example with the cloud platform. On the cloud platform, as you remember that yesterday we created a account which I termed as the root account. Okay, so imagine that root account is you. You have created that account and you are the owner of that account. So you will have the ability to give access to any person who's trying to access your account. You can actually define the authority of the third person who's accessing the account, that how much control he or she can do on your account. All right. Uh, just try to understand it in this way. See, I am Sarthak and I have created my own account. So I am the root user of that account. Okay. And say my colleague XYZ wants to access my account, but she wants to access only single service. Let's say she's saying that I need to access only the EC2 service. I am not concerned about S3. I'm not concerned about VPC. Okay. So what I can do is I can restrict her access just to use EC2. Like she'll go into my account and she will only be able to access EC2 services and she will not be able to access other services. So this kind of authorization and control of a external user is handled through IAM in all the cloud platforms. So let's take this implementation to enterprise level things. Uh, let's say we have a very big company where we have a account where we have different clients on a same account where we have hosted their solutions. Okay, so obviously client A will have different authority, client B will have different authority, client C will have different authority. So what we can do is we can define different roles for each of them. Like I'll define role A for client A, I'll define role B for client B, I'll define role C for client C. Okay, so now let's deep dive into these roles. So I'll define in the in those role ki, okay, client A wants to use EC2, so I'll give him the authority related to EC2 only. All right, and client B wants to use S3, so I'll give him authority related to S3 only. Similarly goes for client C. So this is a very important and a very basic concept of access management that I just showed you. And identity management is that managing the identities of each of the third user which is accessing your account. Same as I am Sarthak, I and my colleague XYZ wants to use my account. So I am managing her identity, that is identity management, and I am allowing her to use EC2 only, that is the access management. Basically what she can access on my account. So this is how IAM, the basic concept of IAM is. Now let's see it practically on the console. Again, I'll go to the services and uh, then I'll search IAM. All right, this is the console of the IAM service on AWS. Here you can see that I can add a user, I can add a role of that user, I can add a policy for that user, I can create a group. Basically, like let's say if I'm running a IT organization and I have 10 developers with me. So what I can do is I can create a common group for those developers, and I can apply this access on that group also, so that all the members that are a part of that group will inherit that policies or that authorization. That is the role of group. User is the single user that I can add to the account, like I'm adding account, let's say um, ATH. Next. See, now I'll assign the permissions for this user. Here we have multiple options that add user to a group. If I have already created a group, I can add that user to that group itself. I can copy a existing permission, or I can attach a new policy. See, I'll create a new policy for you guys to just have a better understanding. Okay. Since I clicked on the third option, so you can see here I got many options of the access that I can give to that particular user. So let's say that this ATH user wants to use only EC2 in my system, in the account. So I'll just type EC2 here. Yes. Do you see now I get all the EC2 related accesses on the console? So here I'll try to see, as the name suggests, it is the Amazon EC2 full access. So what this policy will do is it will allow the ATH user to use EC2 fully on my system. The user ATH can do anything related to EC2. That user particularly will not be able to touch S3. So he will be restricted only to use the EC2 services. All right. You can read about this services and other services that are available on the console. That will be a more theoretical part. Like I'm not going into that. Just giving you the basic idea of that. So I'll select the EC2 full access, and I'll do next, and I'll do create. All right. So now what I did is I created a user ATH which has the access to the EC2 service of my account. So let's say whenever the user ATH will log in into my account, he will only be able to see the EC2 services and no other services will be visible to him. So this is very important when we go to an enterprise level organization. आप किसी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जाओगे तो आईएम का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल होता है. इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. And this is how we handle the access and the usage of our account for the different clients and different users. All right. So as I explained you that it allows you to create and manage users, group roles, and assign specific permissions to control what action they can perform on your resources. This is what I just showed you right now. I hope the things are clear till now. And if any questions or any doubts, just ping them in the chat window and the team will respond to you accordingly. All right. So I'm moving to the third topic, that is VPC. This is the virtual private cloud. Again, virtual private cloud is equally important to IAM. Like you need to learn about virtual private cloud in order to learn the cloud computing concepts. Okay. So as I explained yesterday that we need to connect our EC2 machine with a network in order to use that machine, because without network we cannot use anything. Basically, you cannot use your computer without having it in the internet access, right? So that is something important, and it is a base concept to move forward. All right. So what VPC does is VPC allows us to create a network space virtually for us. Like I can control the IP ranges inside that virtual network, and I can basically control everything inside that network, and that network will be belonging to me. I can set the subnets, I can set the number of subnets, I can set the ranges of those subnet, I can mask the IPs, I can do anything that is controllable by me, and it will belong to me only. So no other third person will be able to see what's going inside my virtual private cloud. Okay. So virtual private cloud you can think of as a book cover. What our book cover does is that it protects our book that is inside our cover. Similarly, virtual private cloud is a cover of all the resources that we spin up in the cloud environment. Since let's say I have spinned up, I have started a EC2 machine, I have started a S3 bucket, I have started say any machine learning or AI related services. So those all services will be present inside my VPC. VPC is the cover of all these services which keep them protected from the outside network. Okay, so what we can do is we can spin up all the resources and n number of resources within our VPC to keep them isolated from other public environments. So that is why the VPC is the most basic and the important concept for the cloud. So let's now see it in action. Again, I'll go to the home page. I'll search for VPC. Right. See, when I select VPC, the VPC dashboard is visible to us. This is the number of VPCs that we have. This is the NAT gateways. This is the subnets, VPC peering, route tables. Like this is a very long topic right now. So we'll just cover the brief of how to create a VPC and what a VPC is. Okay. So let's see what currently we have in our account. So I hope you all have created your AWS account and were able to launch your first EC2 instance, as I explained you yesterday. So if you have opened your AWS account, when you will log in into your AWS account and search for VPC and go to the VPC dashboard, so you will be seeing one VPC that is already created for you. So that is a default VPC that AWS provides us. Okay, so that you can see here in the settings that default is set to yes. So this is the default VPC that is automatically created by the AWS when you create your account for the first time. Because without VPC, you will not be able to start or spin up any resource on the cloud platform. So that's why just to remove this burden, AWS itself provides you with the default VPC. So it's completely up to you and your choice that you want to use the existing VPC or you want to create a new VPC. So in our case, I'll just try to create a new VPC and show you the concepts. So again, when I click on create VPC, there will be a naming tag. I'll give it a name as ATH AWS shop. Now, this is the CIDR range. As I told you that we can control the CIDR range, basically the IP ranges of our VPC so that it is excluded and it is just specific to us. So let's try to create a VPC 24. Okay. And for all of you, I'm just giving you a trick that if you are weak in networking and you are not sure how the CIDR works and what do we do, so there is a website that we have xyz.spider. Right. So this is a website that we have here. You can play around with the CIDR ranges. So let's take in live example that we are using 10.0.1.0 24. So you can come here, just put in 0, 1, 0, and 24. Right. So here you will get how many IPs you will you have in your VPC, how will be usable, how the first usable, last usable, how many IPs do you have, and how the networking will work. So it is just for your own knowledge and your this is just a hack that I'm giving you to you guys for this. Okay. So right. So I have controlled the CIDR block range of this VPC and I can select the whether IPv6 should be enabled or not. Generally, we do not enable IPv6. That is completely dependent on the client's requirement. Then again, the tagging, just a unique identifier for this service. All right, so we can click on create. So now what happened is that I created a virtual network in my AWS account with this IP range. So my all the services that I will create will be included inside this particular IP range. They won't be going outside of this IP range, so that I'm controlling their networking concept arrangements. So let's say if I run a new EC2 machine and I attach that EC2 machine with this VPC, so it will be within this block. It won't be with another block. So that is why VPC is important. After VPC, we can also create the subnets out of that VPC. Create subnet. I'll select the VPC that I just created, 8H workshop. This is the CIDR that I chose earlier. I'll give the name of my subnet, subnet one. Reference. Now I can give a block range 10.0.1. Be fine. Again, for these blocks, you can go to the cider.xyz and see what is it, 28, and I'm giving 1. So this subnet will have 16 number of IP ranges that I can use. All right. So create subnet. Now I've created a subnet within that VPC. Successfully created a subnet. All right. Right. So this was the basic concept and the basic working with the VPC and the importance of VPC, why we need to learn VPC. More and more, as much you'll read about these services, you will be able to relate for whatever the explanation that I just gave you. Okay. And please do feel free to type in your doubts or your questions in the chat bot so that the team can respond. All right, let's move to the next topic. This is the Amazon CloudWatch. So Amazon CloudWatch is another important and a basic service that is provided to us by AWS. So what CloudWatch does is, as you can try to guess from its name, let's understand its name. So it says CloudWatch. If we break this word into two parts, cloud plus watch. Cloud is AWS, watch is monitoring. Basically, we are watching something. So what CloudWatch does is it monitors our AWS account. It monitors all the services that are there in AWS account. Like I have yesterday, I have spinned up a EC2 machine. Today, I have spinned up a VPC. I have spinned up a S3. So what CloudWatch will do is it will monitor those services and it will monitor my AWS account as a whole. Okay. So now what it exactly monitors, that is completely dependent and configurable by us. Like we can set any kind of monitoring system on CloudWatch to check for the resources. For an example, like if yesterday I spent up a EC2 instance and I want to check the CPU utilization of that system. Like I want to see how much CPU is being used, how much disk is being used, how is the performance of that server or the computer basically. So what I can do is I can configure a matrix on the CloudWatch which will continuously monitor my instance for the attributes that I have defined. Like it will monitor the CPU utilization, it will monitor the memory utilization, optimization, and other things, and the performance of the service. So this kind of configurations and monitoring we can do for almost all the services that we have on the console. So this basically helps us in case of downtime. Um, let's say I have a service that is hosting my application. I have created an application and hosted that on AWS, and by chance that application crashes. Okay, so whenever the application will crash, I need to see the logs of that issue, that exactly what happened, right? Unless I will not debug that issue, I'll not be able to learn why the crash happened. So I'll not be able to resolve that issue. So in these kind of scenarios, CloudWatch is a very important service and a very helpful service, that it exactly, because it is continuously monitoring and tracking our resources. So it has set of logs that we can refer to, that okay, at this time what went wrong, so that we can improve the solution and we can avoid the crash of the application. So just remember, whenever you will be working with the services, just make sure to look at the CloudWatch and what the CloudWatch logs look like. Okay. So next option is EBS. EBS is the volumes part that we discussed yesterday. As I mentioned yesterday, that the volumes is a important and a core thing for running an instance on AWS. So that's why we have included this in today's session. We will go deep dive into the EBS, uh, Elastic Block Service, or you can term it as the volumes. I'll refer to it as volumes. Okay. So volumes, as you remember, these are the हार्ड डिस्क ऑफ योर सिस्टम. जो आपके सिस्टम के अंदर हार्ड डिस्क लगी होती है वो वॉल्यूम है, और उस वॉल्यूम को आई एम रेफरिंग एज द ईबीएस, इलास्टिक ब्लॉक सर्विस. So, Elastic, same. Again, the concept remains same, that if we go to a market to buy a laptop or a system, so there are different kind of hard disk that is available on the market, SSD, NVMe, hard disk, HDD. So it is up to our choice that what hard disk you want in your computer or on your system. Same goes with the cloud providers as well, that we can choose the type of the hard disk that we want on our instances. Obviously, SSDs are fast, NVMe are more fast than SSDs, and HDDs are slow. So as the speed increases, the input output increases, the price also increases. So HDD is low in price, SSD is high in price, NVMe's are the most costliest in the market, and as well as on the cloud platforms. And the And in the real life example, like if you buy a laptop and there is a outage of your hard disk, like आपके hard disk का data enough नहीं है, like your hard disk has completely filled. So what do you do? Like you can remove that hard disk and place a new and bigger hard disk on your system, so that your data can be again stored on the hard disk, right? Same concept goes with the cloud providers as well. Like, do you remember yesterday I created the instance and I attached a 8 GB volume or 8 GB hard disk on my system. So that particular volume can be resized. Let's say I have created that instance yesterday and I am using that instance straight for 10 days. And after 10 days, I feel that no, 8 GB data is very less for me. So what I'll do is I'll just go to the console and I'll try to increase the size of the EBS. I'll say that no, I need 20 GB hard disk now. So that flexibility is also provided to us by the AWS. So I'll quickly show you the process. This was the machine that I created yesterday, and when I see the data, the details of this machine, I'll be able to see the volume. See, I have a volume attached to it. If I click on this volume ID, I have opened the volume. And as you can see that yesterday this volume that I created was for 8 GB, and now if I want to increase the size of it, I'll just select it, actions, modify volume, and I can resize it 20 or anything that I want. Basically, I'll request you all to keep it below 30 GB because till 30 GB it's the free tier eligible. After 30 GB, you might have to pay something, but 30 GB would be enough for you guys. So I'll request you to keep it as 8 for your own learning and testing purpose, unless you are pretty confident that you can handle those things. So you can try to play around with these configurations. But as of now, just keep it as 8 GB, and this is just for the demo purpose. All right. As I explained you that it can be created, resized, deleted, and whenever you need that, you have that flexibility to do those operations. All right. Now let's move forward. But before moving forward, I request you to please type in your questions or your doubt in the chat bot or any clarification that you need. My team will reach you with the appropriate results. And if they are not able to answer you or satisfy you completely, then I'll be the person who will be connecting with you one on one to solve your doubts and your questions. Okay. So now I hope you guys are not bored because this was very theoretical till now. But that was important just to set a base for you. आपको थोड़ा base आपका set करना जरूरी था. So that's why it was very theoretical till now. And now we will learn and we will do some practical stuff on AWS. Okay, so as I promised you guys that you will be able to create your first blogging website after the session ends. So now we are starting on that topic, which will be completely practical, and I'll show you how to create a blogging website on AWS. Okay, so for this tutorial, we are using WordPress to create the first blogging for you guys. WordPress is basically an open source software that is available freely in the market. It is written and based on PHP language. So like if you'll Google about WordPress, you'll get to know more things about WordPress. It is open source software which is freely available on the market. Okay. So before getting started, I'll just give you a brief background what we are going to do next in the practical session. All right. So for WordPress, we need few services in order to make WordPress work. The icons that are currently shown on your screen on the below line are the prerequisite services to start a WordPress website. Let's see each one of them. The first icon stands for the Linux operating system. So as you guys remember that yesterday we created a Linux-based operating system on the part where we had to choose the operating system of the EC2 machine. So that is Linux. The second option is the Apache, that is the web server. Basically, what web server does is it hosts your application and makes it available on the IP of your instance. We'll learn about it more. Apache is also an open source software or open source product that is available freely in the market. Third is MySQL. MySQL is the database offering. As I told you yesterday, that every application will have a connected database in order to store some sensitive information for you. So for that, we need a database also, and we will be using MySQL for that. And fourth is the PHP. PHP is the coding language in which the WordPress is created. So obviously, like on a common sense basis, if we think it as a layman language, if a project is written in PHP language, then obviously the server on which we are going to host that application should have PHP in order to run that application. So that is why PHP is the fourth and the last component that we require to run the WordPress. So if we look at the components from starting, first is the Linux that stands for L. Second is the Apache that stands for A. MySQL is the database that stands for M, and then the fourth and the last is the PHP for the coding language, that is P. So this whole tech stack is termed as LAMP, LAMP. So in the market, we have different standards where the clients are the clients might ask you to just install LAMP on your web server. So LAMP, you don't have to get confused or like haywired what exactly LAMP is. You just have to break that thing into Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So that's what we are going to do next. Okay, so we'll be installing LAMP on the server and then we will be installing WordPress on the server. Right. So as you all know that yesterday we started our EC2 machine, and on EC2 machine we will be installing our application. Okay, so since you guys might be using Windows system, so we need to install a software called Putty on your Windows in order to connect with your EC2 instance. So this is the link to download that Putty software on your system. If you cannot click on the link, just go to Google, download, just download Putty for your system. Whatever your system configuration is, just download Putty as your system suits. Just download and install that software on your system. This is a prerequisite for this lab. All right. Right. After installing Putty, you have to open the software as this. So let's say once you have installed Putty, you just have to go in. Sorry. And run Putty. All right. So here we have opened Putty. This Putty software is used for connecting to our EC2 machines that we have created on the cloud providers. Now I'll show you the process how to connect it to your instance. This was the instance. This is Putty. What I'll do is, sorry, so the volume. I'll select the instance. I'll copy the public IP address. As I explained yesterday, that public IP address is reachable through the public internet, and private IP address is the internal IP of this machine that is reachable by the internal AWS services. So we will be working around. We will be working with the public IP address. So I have copied the public IP address. I will copy the host name here. So I'm telling this Purty software that what exactly machine it needs to connect with. So I'll just copy the public IP and I will paste it on the Putty, and then I'll go to the SSH option, authentication. All right. So I hope you guys remember that when we created the machine yesterday, we created a key pair. Key pair is nothing, just a password file for this machine. Okay, so this will be the username. Just think it as the username, and the password will be the key that we downloaded yesterday. Now, yesterday, there were two options, if you remember, to download a PEM file or a .ppk file, right? So, and I told you that we have downloaded the .pem file because I'll show you how to generate a ppk file out of .pem file, right? So when you will install this Putty software, there will be an additional software that will be installed for you that is known as PuttyGen. Just open this PuttyGen software and here click on conversions, import key. Just import the see import your .pem file that we created yesterday and it was downloaded on your local system. So we created this key pair yesterday, that is ATH AWS ATH workshop.pem. I'll just select it and I'll do it as open. Okay. So I have imported my .pem file into the PuttyGen software and now I'll try to convert it to the PPK file. To convert this .pem file to the PPK file, I'll just click on save private key. Private key is the PPK. On the desktop, I'll add ATH, AWS, shop, workshop, and I'll hit save. That's it. So now what I have done is I have converted the .pem file to a .ppk file. So from .pem file, we have both the files available now, .pem file or .ppk file. So whenever we'll require and whatever we will require to connect with the instance, we already have it. But that would not be the case if you have downloaded .ppk file initially itself. If you have downloaded .ppk file, then there are no known options to convert that back to the .pem file. So it is always better to download a .pem file so that we can have .pem file plus .ppk file, both the files with us. All right. So after converting it to .ppk, the work for PuttyGen is done. We'll just close the software and now we will add the .ppk file that we just saved. Right. So I'll just add this ppk file. So this will act as a password for my instance and this will act as a username for my instance. I'll just do open. Open. It is asking me that you want to connect to that machine or not. I'll just do accept. Okay. So by default, whenever we start a machine, a Ubuntu machine or a Linux machine, for Ubuntu, we have the username as Ubuntu. Okay, I'll just write it as Ubuntu and I'll do enter and it has successfully logged in into the EC2 machine for me. The password was taken from the PPK file that I attached on the Putty software. I'll just repeat this process once. After installing Putty, just open Putty and type in your public IP address here, go to SSH, and inside SSH, go to auth, just browse your PPK file here. After browsing your PPK file, click on open. And if you are using a Ubuntu based OS, then just type in Ubuntu as the username and you will be able to log in into the machine. So now on this screen that we have right now, we have connected to the machine that we created yesterday. That is the first machine. Okay, now what we can do is we can perform any task on this particular machine or EC2 server. So this is the practical work that I've just showed you, that you have to copy the public IP here, then go to connections, SSH and the auth part. And this is how to do it. After connecting to the machine, just click on accept. If you are using an Ubuntu based system, then type in your username as Ubuntu, as I showed you, and click on enter. So now you have successfully logged in inside the Putty software. So just a recap, what we have done till now is we have created a server. We have logged in into that server using the Putty software. Now we will do the functionality on the server itself. All right, let's move forward. So as I explained you that to install a WordPress, we need to set up the LAMP setup on the server. So For LAMP, the first letter is L, that stands for Linux. So we already have the Linux operating system. So our point one is already done when we were creating the EC2 machine. We have selected the Linux based system and it is done. Okay. So next alphabet that comes in LAMP is A. So A stands for Apache. Apache is a web server. So now what we will do is we will install an Apache software on the server. All right. So these are the commands on your screen that you need to run in order to install Apache on the EC2 machine. First command is optional. Sudo su basically elevates your privileges to root. The second command will update your EC2 machine. What it will do is it will update the existing softwares or the existing libraries on your machine, and it will patch your security patches that are available in the market. Hello. Okay. So as I explained, that second command will update your libraries on your existing Ubuntu system. And the third command will actually install the Apache web server on your EC2 machine. Just don't worry if you are not able to understand these concepts right now. Like if you join us for the full workshop or full classroom program, then we'll deep dive into the Linux concepts itself. This is basically a Linux concept rather than a cloud-based concept. We have a full workshop for Linux fundamentals and teaching you Linux from scratch till the admin level. All right. So I'll just show you how to run these commands on the server. I have taken a note of these commands separately so that it is easy for me to just copy and paste the commands. I'll just copy the command, that is update. I'll go to my console where I have connected to the EC2 machine. The first command that we saw on the screen was sudo su. I'll just do sudo su. See, I have elevated myself to the root user so that I can perform any kind of task on the machine. All right. So now I have the first thing that I need to do is the apt update. Apt update. This is updating my existing softwares or existing things that are present on this particular machine or particular server. All right. After update is done, we will do the Apache installation. We will install Apache. For this, the command that we have is apt install Apache 2. It will ask me for a confirmation that do you want to continue or no. Then I'll do yes. It will take some time to get installed. We will be sharing you the complete PPT and the complete list of commands and completely practical step-by-step things that you need to do in order to set up the WordPress on your EC2 machines. So just keep the basic concept in mind that you have to establish LAMP on your server, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So till now, we have configured Linux, we have configured Apache. That is LA is done. Now we will be moving to MMP, that is MySQL and PHP. Okay. So to install PHP, we have certain commands that are available in the market. Like if you can go and Google these things, so you will easily be able to get the commands to install PHP on your system. Okay, so now we will be installing PHP on the system. And do not worry, we will be sharing you the complete list of the commands that you need to do on your system. You will get better idea of these Linux based commands and Linux based concepts in our classroom program. And now finally, after updating my system, I'll be installing PHP version 8.1 on the server. Enter. Yes. So now what it is doing is it is installing PHP on my server and version is 8.1 because I have specified the version as 8.1. All right. So till now, L, A, and P is done. We are only just left with M, that is the MySQL. Okay, so with PHP, we cannot just refrain ourselves by installing PHP. There are additional packages for PHP that needs to be installed. Like these are the support packages for PHP application. Like there is PHP MySQL, there is PHP zip, there is PHP GD, MB string. You don't have to go deep into these packages as of now. This is a very later on and a very wide topic that we will cover later. But currently, just think of these as the support packages for running the PHP language on the server. So now we will be installing these packages. All right, the packages are now installed. Now we will check if we were able to install PHP successfully or not. So for that, we will check the version of the PHP that we have installed. For that, the command is PHP space hyphen V. As I hit PHP space hyphen V, you can see that the console has given me the version of the PHP that is installed. That is 8.1 that we were intended to do. All right. Now let's get back to our slides. And this is the installation process of Apache that I just showed you. Now we can skip this part. Uh, skip this part. Okay. After installing Apache, what we can do is just to confirm whether Apache was installed on your system or not, you can just hit your public IP on your browser. What this means is I'll just show you. This was the server. I'll just pick up the public IP. I'll open another tab. I'll paste this IP and I'll do enter. Exactly. So this is a default page that is shown to us for Apache. So this confirms that our Apache installation was successful after hitting the IP. Exactly. This is the default Apache page. So we have confirmed that Apache was installed and we are good with it. Secondly, we have confirmed that the PHP is also installed on the server by checking the version of PHP. All right. So now we will install the MySQL. That is the fourth and the last component of our setup. So for that, the command is apt install MySQL server. Again, go back to our instance. We'll paste the command and we'll do enter. It is asking for my confirmation. I'll just do yes and I'll enter. So now what it will do is it has installed MySQL Server on my system. It'll take a minute. All right. So currently our tech stack is complete. We have successfully installed LAMP. Now again to check the version, we'll just do MySQL server -v SQL-v. See, I have just hit MySQL-v and we are able to see the version of the MySQL that was installed. All right, this is done. Now, I hope you guys are aware about the functionality of a database. So inside a database, we have a database which is used to store the sensitive information for the application. So since we are installing WordPress, so what we will do is we will create a new database inside the MySQL server to hold the sensitive information related to our blogging website. So for that, we will be creating a database named WordPress DB. Let me show you. Okay. After installing MySQL, we need to log in into that MySQL server. That is MySQL-u root. See, after hitting this command, I am able to log in into the my MySQL server where I can set up and play around with the databases. So our task here is to create a new database by the name WordPress DB. So for that, the command is create database and the database name. I'll do enter. Okay. Query is okay. So my database is now created. Then I'll create a new user for that database so that a new user can use this database. All right. So what I have done here is I have created a new user to use this database and the password would be ATH in our case. So you can customize these things. All right. So now, till now, what we have done is we have installed LAMP and we have created a blank database by the name WordPress DB to hold the data for the blogging website. Okay. So now what we will do is we will go to the root directory of the system. So whenever we will install Apache, so there is a directory called /var/www/html, which acts as the root directory. So what a root directory is, it holds the code of the application. It holds the files of the application. So the WordPress that we will be installing or downloading from the internet will be stored in this particular location. That is /var/www/html. All right. So I have currently accessed this directory. And when I will try to list the files right now, you can see it is index.html. All right, let's see what is the content of this index.html right now. All right. Do you see this Apache to Ubuntu default? It works. Now just try to remember when I try to hit the website, do you see this Apache to Ubuntu default? It works. So this is the page and this is the file that we are able to see on the browser after hitting the IP. That is the index file. So basically, why I wanted to show you this is whatever is present inside this directory will be visible on your system on the IP, right? So this is treated as the root directory of the web server. So whatever thing you will put in slash var slash www slash html, these data or these files will be visible for your public IP when you hit it on the browser. This is a very important concept, and just take a note of it if possible. All right. Now I'll show you something. I'll try to remove this index.html, let's say. I have removed this index.html and I have listed C. I have nothing right now. And if I go back to my browser and I refresh, see, the page is gone. Basically, that file is not there anymore. So this was just a proof that the files that are present in slash var slash www slash html are visible on your public IP. All right. We have created this. We have installed PHP. We have installed PHP packages. We have checked PHP version. Right. So now we are at the last step of our installation, that is the WordPress installation. Again, here we will be moving to the root directory of our system. Then we will be downloading the WordPress files. For that, we will do a wget. Wget basically downloads this particular file from the internet. This is an internet accessible link, https colon slash slash wordpress.org slash latest.tar.gz. So this is a publicly accessible URL from where we are downloading this latest.tar.gz file. See, now if I do a list, I have downloaded this tar file right now. To now I will try to untar this file. Now if I try to ls, see, we have a tar file and there is a additional directory that got created. So let's see what is inside this directory. I'll just do a cd to this directory. Basically, I'm accessing this directory, and if I do a ls, see, now we have these files that are related to WordPress. So conceptually, what we need to do is these files should be present on slash var slash www slash html and not in slash var slash www slash html slash WordPress, right? Because our root is slash var slash www slash html. All right. So for that, what we will try to do is we will move these files to outer directory. See, I have moved all the files to the outer directory now. Now my WordPress directory holds nothing. And if I do an LSA, we are good. Now I'll do a CD. I'll come out of the directory and now see. I have all the files that are present in my var slash www slash html directory. So technically, whatever is present here now should be visible on my IP address. But no. See, now when I try to refresh, it is telling me that my MySQL extension is missing for the PHP. So when you see the commands, that is installing the additional packages, so I need to install MySQL I as well. So I'll just do a copy. Just enabling the extension. So since there was an error in our installation, so our browser told us that the MySQL I extension is missing. So what I did is I just went into the configuration file of PHP and enabled the MySQL I extension. Now I'll just restart my Apache server in order to make that extension work. All right. So technically, when we run the IP, we will see the first installation page of our WordPress software, that is our WordPress blogging site. So what we did till now is we started an EC2 machine, we connected it with Putty software so that we can install any software or we can host our application on it. All right. So for in our case, the application that we wanted to host was WordPress. WordPress had some prerequisites that we had to do. That was Apache, MySQL, PHP. PHP had additional packages that were required. So what we did is we started a Linux-based system. We installed Apache software on it. We installed MySQL on it to hold the database. Then we installed PHP and the related packages that were required to run the WordPress website. All right. So after hitting the IP, I'll just repeat the process. I am just copying the IP. I'll just go in and I'll do exactly. So after hitting the IP, I'm able to see the first screen of the WordPress website. So now these will be the on-screen instructions that are given. So all right, let's go. Do you remember the database name that we set up? That was WordPress DB. I hope I don't spell it wrong. Username will be root. Password will be blank. Submit. Okay. We are facing an issue in connecting the database problems. Let's debug. Okay, that is a mistake on my end that I have not given the privileges to the WordPress DB. That is, I missed this step basically. So really sorry for that. So after creating the user for the database, what we have to do is we have to connect the newly user for the database with the database that we created, so that the user can access this database particularly. So I missed this part on my end. All right, since I have fixed the issue, so I'll just restart my Apache software. All right. So since the installation is done, now we have the next step on the WordPress installation. That is, uh, WordPress wants this particular file to be created. So we'll just copy this file. So what I did is I accessed my root directory again and I created this wp config.php, and I just copied the content that is available on the screen and I saved that file, and I'll now just click on run installation. All right. So since installation is done now, it is trying to ask me for my uh, blogging website title. So let's give it as ATH AWS workshop. Username we can give as admin. Let's say password should be strong, but in our case, we can take it as admin123 just for the demo purpose. Don't ever use a weak password. Email we have uh, .com. All right, install WordPress. WordPress has been successfully installed. Now we'll do a login. Now it will ask for my credentials, admin at 123, enter. Welcome to WordPress. So we have successfully installed WordPress on the system. And in order to see the website, we'll just click on visit website. So congratulations team. This is the first blog for you all with the name ATH AWS workshops. So what we can do is we can control this blog basically from its admin panel, and we can access our website from there. And do not worry, we will be sharing you the all the commands and the complete process how to do this process from end to end. We will also be sharing you the live recording of this session so that you guys can refer to that recording as well in case of any doubts. So we talked about WordPress installation. We already took that. Now, this is a compile of the commands that we will be sharing with you in order to install WordPress on the server. These all the commands that I just showed you how to do them. Now, as shown on the screen, we went to our IP and yes, we were able to install the WordPress. Now, these slides exactly contain the steps that I just did. Entering the database account, then running the installation, then entering the admin credentials, and then clicking on login, then entering the credentials again, and then welcome to WordPress. So till now, you have successfully created your first blogging website that you can use or you can host or you can begin your social media journey. And that was the end of the session from my end, team. I hope you enjoyed the 2 day sessions, practical session with me, and I was able to explain and I was able to convey all the basic knowledge and the concepts related to cloud to you and about the core services of the AWS. So I'll encourage all of you to enroll into our program because the program that we have right now in the organization is a very deep dive program where we will be covering all the Linux based concepts, all the cloud based concepts, all the core based concepts, and all those things will be covered practically in the same way that I showed you in the 2 day lab. So all the services, all the technology, all the knowledge will be shared with you, and there will be live sessions with me or my team on each and every topic. Uh, for any doubts, I'll be available for the whole day, and my team will also be available for the whole day. You can go in and you can try to do this whole practical on your own AWS account. And if you face any issue, just ping on the same chat bot. We will be available for next 8 hours for your help and for your doubt clearing sessions. So, like throughout the day, if you feel any doubt or any questions you have, just feel free to join the same link and put your question in the chat window, and we will respond you as quickly as possible. All right, that's end from my end, and I hope you enjoyed the session and have a nice day. Keep cloud computing. Bye.